In this lab, we'll demonstrate the flexibility of Active Directory user Centrify to resolve a user conflict. In a previous lab, we saw that we had a duplicated identity with Jesse. As you can see in CentOS 1 and as well as in my SUSE 1 system, Jesse has two identities, one coming from Active Directory with the long UID and the local account. Notice that in CentOS 1 he has UID of 503 and in SUSE 1 he has UID of 10,004. So one of the flexibilities of the Centrify product is that you can do local account overrides. Although this is very inefficient, it is important that we can illustrate that because this may be something that needs to be done at some point. So in order to do an account override, the user needs to have a global identity defined at the zone level. He already has one. What we do is go to the systems in question and do an override at that level. Under the system, there's a Unix data node too. So all we need to do is go ahead and add an override at the proper system. So we're going to do an add user to zone. We're going to find Jesse. And now all we need to do is check only the field that we want to override. In this case, it's going to be the UID. So in CentOS 1, he happens to be UID 503. In my SUSE system, he happens to have a different UID, and that's going to be, let's go ahead and do it. And in this case, it's going to be, the UID is going to be 1004. Right, so we've already overridden this. So why do I say that this is inefficient? This is because you still have to do manual overrides at the system level. This is why it's really important to do a normalization of the Unix namespace for these projects. But with Centrify, you can be very flexible, and flexibility can work against you. In some cases where the status quo is important, this may be a viable solution. So let's go ahead and do a testing. But first, we need to an AD flush because we just made a change. And in the case of local overrides, and that's an interesting dynamic with local overrides. Local overrides require an agent cycling. So let's go ahead and do an agent cycling. First, before we do that, let's do an AD query user. Notice that Jesse still has the long UID in that system. So first, we're going to do a service recycle. This is a Red Hat, so we could do a sudo we're going to do a restart, and just to really make sure, we're going to do an AD flush. So let's go ahead and clear that out and do an AD query. And now notice that Jesse has the UID 503, so the override has effectively happened. If we go ahead and duplicate a session, and in this case we're going to do it with Jesse. Here you'll notice that the error that we had before, in which the user couldn't change to the directory and couldn't get the right shell, didn't happen. So if I do a pwd, you'll see that I am in the right home directory. If I do an id command, this is me with ID 503. However, let's take a look at the etc path profile. So now we still have this local account in the local machine. The right thing to do would be to delete that account. Why? Because we don't need to worry about it anymore. We impersonated that account, so we are 503 going forward. So there's no need to have two duplicated accounts. So let's do a clear, and it would be if we wanted to confirm, then for password and grep. Notice that we have the two entries are basically identical. And we could do an utility. The utility is called ADRM local, and we could do, and let's go ahead and do the whole path. So dz-do user bin share Centrify DC and bin, do the rm local command. This is going to be the dz-do password will be the Active Directory password. Notice that I still don't have a way to differentiate the passwords. Bad typing. So here it's telling me, hey, we found a bunch of local users that have conflicts. One of them is Jesse Matthews and the previous users that we've created. So ADRM local is a utility that you can run with the commit option, and it will delete the local users. You could also use the local Unix utilities to delete the user from the local etc password file. But hopefully you were able to understand how with Centrify you can do local overrides at several level. Not very efficient, but we will demonstrate how we can do an import of users and a migration using joining a system with the pre-create option. Then we're gonna do an AD fix ID, and then we're gonna do an ADRM local, which is a little bit more elegant. And thanks for your time.